Tēnā koutou katoa, no mai ki bumblebee wānanga. Today I'm going to be having a yarn about Te Tiriti O Waitangi, which translates to the Treaty of Waitangi, which is a treaty between Māori, Indigenous peoples of Aotearoa, New Zealand, to the Crown, to English settlers. This is a really hot topic in Aotearoa in New Zealand at the moment, as the government is essentially trying to remove Te Tiriti, wipe it away from history. I feel like it's really important to speak about, especially as I'm speaking to a lot of my whānau and friends that are outside of Aotearoa as well. A lot of interest sparked for me when I learned about Te Tiriti O Waitangi when I moved here for university. Having a treaty in Australia is very foreign. There isn't a treaty between Aboriginals and the government or Commonwealth. It's beautiful to witness what Te Tiriti, how it was initially created for Māori. Essentially the key parts is that the Queen has the right to govern her own people, so the settlers. So the settlers that did come over like the 1700s, the 1800s, there were no laws here that they had between themselves. They were just like running amok. And so this treaty said that the Queen would create some, I guess, boundaries and some safety and be able to govern her own people. Second was that Crown would honour that Māori govern themselves and they acknowledge and respect that. Third is that we protect and just keep alive our own taonga, so the things that mean special to us. Taonga translate, I guess, the English to something that's precious, but it's hard to like translate Reo Māori to English because the weight of and the meaning of the word just loses a lot when it gets translated to English. So when that third principle, main part, is Māori protecting or having all rights to handle and protect their taonga. That means like Māori language, the whenua, the land. That means all, precious items, beings, our tamariki, our children, whānau, all things Māori. They are protected and not fucked with, essentially. You see key parts of Te Tiriti, the treaty is, and how it was signed by rangatira, leaders of tribes or hapu, like sub-tribes groups, and wahine when they agreed to it. And not all tribes in New Zealand agreed to this treaty, entering a relationship with the Crown, with these, I guess, confirmed rules. But those who did sign it, signed it in the faith that this is for real. What I learned in university is that Māori really picked up on what Westerners or settlers, what their game was. They operated by the power of paper and by flags. And he whakaputanga, if you aren't aware of that, that was pre-treaty. That was an official document and an established flag that Māori created as they heard that there were a lot of other colonizers trying to come and colonize the land. So in order to be a legitimate society to the rest of the world, they called on that if we create our own and be in their game, they can't, by their own rules, fuck with us and take our land, colonize us, or do whatever they want, because we have established or we have played their own game with their rules. So they're quite intelligent to pick up how they're operating and just catch on and create their own flag, create a document that establishes that they are a sovereign peoples and have ownership over their land. Fast forward from that first document and establishment of the flag, it was Te Tiriti and the treaty, which was like that full confirmed relationship, or the settlers living on the same land as Māori. Obviously throughout history since 1800s, there's been so much like mess and war and fight for land and sneaky ways to blame Māori. For today, it has been established that we still honour Te Tiriti. The government chooses to constantly go against that, and there's just in constant back and forth arguments about how there's a lot of things within society that doesn't honour the treaty. Of course, they make it very difficult and a long stretched time period to resolve you know, claiming land back, all of these things. It's been so interesting, and it feels incredibly fresh having the Te Tiriti only happened a few hundred years ago and seeing what it looks like in modern day. You know, that's why we say Tiriti O Waitangi, Māori language everywhere, as it should be, and it's an official language of Aotearoa of New Zealand. That's why we have, it's more Māori also initiating this, but kora kaupapa, kohanga reo, we have Māori language spoken and cultural practices within schools that are available. It's how Māori are able to thrive and be in their communities and live within their way of life so easily if they choose to. I'm going to take back that kupu easily because it's not easy, and that's one thing I didn't understand when I first moved here, because when I spoke to my auntie about it, I'm like, you guys are so lucky, like you get to have such a tight relationship with your indigenous peoples of this colonized, you know, Western society still. Like, this is beautiful to see that it's unified. And she'd said it's still not what it needs and should be, and what has been said within that treaty. A lot of things get dishonored daily, and now that I live here, I can see and feel the truth of that. In the same breath, I'm incredibly grateful to be living in Aotearoa at this time, because actions like me, like filming this, learning about Te Tiriti, which I have in other wānanga in university, but constantly refreshing this knowledge and sharing it, learning, you know, real Māori language and utilizing it. That is me being active in honouring Te Tiriti, in protecting the taonga, like using the Māori language that is within, in whatever capacity that we have still in Western society. I believe it's really important for all people in Aotearoa to know about the treaty. It kind of seems like it's moving in that direction. That's another thing I find incredibly fascinating, is that a lot of people that live here know that kind of history of the country, like what's in the treaty word by word, when it was signed, everything to do with the relationship of Māori and Pākehā, which is the word used for non-Māori. Everyone talks about it, everyone's aware of it. I didn't have that experience growing up in Australia because it is so big. So it's still special, I find, being able to interact and learn about the treaty and our relationship as a society and how it affects us in modern day. Just a quick snippet of that.